In the heart of antiquity, where the pages of history were yet to be fully inscribed, the enigmatic epoch known as the Mediterranean Bronze Age, a clash of titans unfolded. The Battle of Kadesh, a cataclysmic confrontation of empires, etched its name into the annals of time. It was a spectacle of power, strategy, and courage that reverberated across the ages, leaving an indelible mark upon the sands of destiny. It stands as an undeniable masterpiece woven into the tapestry of human history. A realm where intrigue and wonder dance hand in hand. With each whisper of the past, a tale unfolds, revealing a world that bears a curious resemblance to our own. Imagine, if you will, the shimmering shores of ancient lands, bathed in the warm embrace of the Mediterranean sun. A symphony of cultures and civilizations intertwines, weaving a mosaic of stories stretching across time. It is an age of unprecedented innovation and ambition, where the ingenuity of humanity pierces the veil of antiquity. In this mesmerizing dance of power and prestige, the Bronze Age unveils a complex tapestry, a multipolar symphony of states. Each kingdom, a star in its own constellation, shines with a brilliance that captivates the hearts of its subjects. Yet beneath the surface, a delicate balance teeters on the precipice. Rivals they may be, but intertwined by a web of trade routes that crisscross the realms, they are interdependent threads in the fabric of civilization. In the tumultuous aftermath of expelling the Hyksos 15th dynasty, a resolute wind of change swept across the Egyptian horizon. The era of the new kingdom dawned, birthing a breed of rulers with a newfound appetite for reclaiming their borders and rekindling the flames of authority. Thutmose I, a name etched in the annals of valor, ignited the spark that would blaze through time, setting the stage for an epic of conquest and determination. From the sun-drenched plains of Megiddo to the coursing currents of the Orontes River, battles raged with a fury that could only be born from a heart ablaze with purpose. Thutmose III, an embodiment of martial prowess, assumed the mantle and carved his name upon the lands he claimed. His son and co-regent Amenhotep II stood shoulder to shoulder with his sire, a testament to the unyielding spirit of a dynasty unbound. Amidst the throes of conflict, a canvas of instability unfurled across the Jahi region, known today as southern Canaan. A tumultuous dance of campaigns and conquests unfolded between the years c. 1400 and 1300 BC, as Egypt's grip on dominion wavered against the winds of change. Thutmose IV and Amenhotep III, though regal in stature, could not halt the erosion of Egyptian territories at the hands of the Mitanni, a shadow cast from the north. Through the veil of time, the Amarna letters tell a tale of fading Egyptian influence, a poignant lament for a once mighty dominion. The great empire's interest waned as the 18th dynasty marched towards its twilight, a symphony of decline echoing across the ages. But a new dawn awaited, heralded by the resolute Horemheb, the dynasty's final standard-bearer. With his campaigns, he breathed life anew into Egypt's interest in the region, rekindling the flames of ambition and solidifying the legacy of a kingdom that refused to fade into oblivion. And so, the saga continued with the 19th dynasty, a lineage of leaders who harbored within their veins the unquenchable fire of ambition. Like his father before him, Seti I ascended to the throne as both a monarch and a military maestro, resolute in his mission to rekindle Egypt's empire to its former glory. With the echoes of the Thutmose kings resonating in his heart, Seti I embarked on a quest to resurrect the dominion of ages past. Etched upon the venerable walls of Karnak, tales of Seti's campaigns into Canaan and ancient Syria stand as a testament to his martial might. With an army of 20,000 at his command, he forged his path, reclaiming abandoned posts and fortifying cities that once bore the emblem of Egyptian rule. Amidst this symphony of conquest, An informal peace danced between Egypt and the Hittites, a balance of power that Seti navigated with skill. Coastal dominion along the Mediterranean Sea slipped into Egypt's grasp once more, while the rhythm of campaign drums beat steadily in Canaan. In the crucible of conflict, Seti the first son and heir, the resplendent Ramses II, marched in tandem with his father. History whispers of Ramses II's preparation, an arms order that heralded his impending expedition to Kadesh, etching his name upon the annals of time. Yet, as the tides of fate would have it, the dominion over Canaan and ancient Syria teetered on a precipice, swaying between Egyptian grasp and Hittite resurgence. The mist of uncertainty shrouds the fate of Amurru, a kingdom caught in the ebb and flow of empires. While Hittite control might have reclaimed it, Amurru lingered as a vassal state, ensnared by the delicate dance of power. As the wheels of time churned, the stage was set for the pivotal Battle of Kadesh. Antecedent campaigns under Ramses II's banner cast a probing eye over the landscape, sowing the seeds of destiny. In the spring of his fifth regnal year, the year 1274 BC etched its name in history's scroll. From the heart of Ramses, the capital that bore his name, Ramses II unfurled his campaign banner. The fortress of Chel and the coastal path to Gaza bore witness to his advance as the shadow of conflict darkened the horizon. The recovery of Amurru was Mu'attali II's stated motivation for marching south to confront the Egyptians. Mu'attali II, the Hittite king, had positioned his forces strategically behind the formidable walls of Old Kadesh, a bastion of strength that would become a linchpin in the impending clash. Yet the currents of fate would weave a tapestry of uncertainty and surprise. Two spies, ensnared in the grasp of the Egyptians, would unknowingly set the stage for the unfolding drama. These agents of misinformation led Ramses II, the resolute Egyptian pharaoh, astray. With their whispers of Hittite forces stationed far away in Aleppo, Ramses ordered his troops to set up camp. Lulled into a false sense of security by this cunning ruse, little did he know that this deception would hasten his journey towards Kadesh, setting the stage for an encounter that would take both sides by storm. In the chronicles of this epic clash, Ramses II's words paint a vivid tableau of his arrival on the battlefield. Through two principal inscriptions, the poem and the bulletin, he etches his experiences upon the annals of history. In his words, we witness his progression, his journey through the lands, and the steady rhythm of his advance towards the fabled city. From the poem: Now then, His Majesty had prepared his infantry, his chariotry, and the sherden of His Majesty's capturing. In the year 5, second month of the third season, day 9, His Majesty passed the fortress of Sile and entered Canaan. His infantry went on the narrow passes as if on the highways of Egypt. Now, after days had passed after this, then His Majesty was in Ramses Meri Ammon, the town which is in the valley of the Cedar. His Majesty proceeded northward. After His Majesty reached the mountain range of Kadesh, then His Majesty went forward, and he crossed the ford of the Orontes. With the first division of Ammon, he gives victory to Usermat Re Setep on Re. His Majesty reached the town of Kadesh. The division of Ammon was on the march behind him. The division of Re was crossing the ford in a district south of the town of Shabtuna, at the distance of 1 eta from the place where His Majesty was. The division of Petar was on the south of the town of Anaim. The division of Set was marching on the road. His Majesty had formed the first ranks of battle of all the leaders of his army, while they were still on the shore in the land of Amurru. From the bulletin, year 5, third month of the third season, day 9, under the majesty of Ramses II. The Lord proceeded northward, and his majesty arrived at a vicinity south of the town of Shabtuna. As Ramses marches forward, his divisions at his side, we can almost hear the echoes of the footsteps of his infantry and chariotry, mingling with the hushed anticipation that fills the air. He passes by the fortress of Sele, journeys into Canaan, and reaches Ramses Meriamon, nestled in the Valley of the Cedar. The path he treads is one of purpose and determination, a journey towards destiny's crossroads. Approximately 11 kilometers away from Kadesh, situated to the south of Shabtuna, Ramses and the leading contingent of Egyptian forces encountered a pair of Shasu nomads. These nomads conveyed information to Ramses that the Hittite king had positioned himself in the land of Aleppo, north of Tunip, a distance of 200 kilometers. According to the Shasu, the Hittite king hesitated to move south due to excessive fear of Pharaoh, denoted as LPH. The Egyptian records assert that this intelligence was a deliberately fabricated falsehood orchestrated by the Hittites. Their intention was to obstruct the advancement of His Majesty's army and deter them from engaging in combat against the Hittite adversary. Subsequently, an Egyptian scout arrived at the camp, escorting 2 Hittite captives. These captives divulged the truth that the entire Hittite military and their king were in close proximity. When they had been brought before Pharaoh, His Majesty asked, "Who are you?" They replied, "We belong to the king of Hatti. He has sent us to spy on you." Then His Majesty said to them, "Where is he, the enemy from Hatti? I had heard that he was in the land of Aleppo." They of Tunip replied to His Majesty, "Lo, the king of Hatti has already arrived, together with the many countries who are supporting him. They are armed with their infantry and their chariots. They have their weapons of war at the ready. They are more numerous than the grains of sand on the beach. Behold, they stand equipped and ready for battle behind the old city of Kadesh." Following this event, Ramses II convened his princes for a discussion concerning the failure of his governors and officials to accurately communicate the position of Muwatalli II and his army. During this time, Ramses was accompanied only by his personal bodyguard and the Amun division. He instructed the vizier to expedite the arrival of the Ptah and Seth divisions, while the Re division was already in proximity to the camp. While Ramses engaged in dialogue with the princes and directed the Amun division to prepare for combat, the Hittite chariots traversed the river and launched an attack on the middle of the Ra division as it advanced toward Ramses' location. Caught in an exposed position, the Ra division fragmented and dispersed in various directions. Some fled northwards towards the Amun camp, relentlessly pursued by Hittite chariots. Subsequently, the Hittite chariots veered northwards and assaulted the Egyptian camp. They penetrated the Amun shield wall, creating chaos within the Amun division. Nonetheless, the initial impetus of the Hittite assault began to diminish as the sprawling camp hindered their progress. The cumbersome nature of the large camp led to a deceleration of their attack, and a number of Hittite chariots met their demise in crashes. In the Egyptian historical account of the battle, Ramses described himself as isolated and encircled by foes, lamenting the absence of officers, charioteers, soldiers, and shield-bearers at his side. Despite this dire situation, Ramses managed to repel the initial attackers and return to the Egyptian lines. He likened himself to the deity Seti in a decisive moment, successfully dispersing the chariots that had surrounded him with the force of his horses. Facing a critical struggle for survival, Ramses summoned his courage, invoked the aid of his god Amun, and fought fiercely to preserve his life. Leading from the front, he initiated several charges into the Hittite ranks, accompanied by his personal guard, select chariots from the Amun division, and survivors from the routed Re division. The Hittites, erroneously believing their enemies to be routed, paused to plunder the Egyptian camp, rendering themselves vulnerable to Ramses' counterattack. His swift and forceful response drove the looters back toward the Orontes River, away from the Egyptian camp. In the ensuing pursuit, the Egyptian chariots, lighter and faster, easily overtook and defeated the heavier Hittite chariots. Although Muwatalli II suffered a significant setback, he retained a substantial force of reserve chariots and infantry, along with the protection of the town walls. As the retreat led them to the river, he commanded another wave of 1,000 chariots to attack the Egyptians, with high-ranking nobles supporting the effort. During this renewed assault on the Egyptian camp, a contingent of the Nearin troop from Amuru unexpectedly arrived, catching the Hittites off guard. Furthermore, the Patar division arrived from the south, menacing the Hittite rear. After enduring 6 charges, the Hittite forces found themselves nearly encircled, ultimately becoming trapped against the Orontes River. Surviving elements of the Hittite army not overtaken in the withdrawal were compelled to abandon their chariots and attempt to swim across the river, often meeting a watery demise. Due to the logistical challenges of sustaining a prolonged siege of the fortified city of Kadesh, Ramses II gathered his forces and retreated southward toward Damascus, eventually making his way back to Egypt. Upon his return to Egypt, Ramses proclaimed victory, citing his successful routing of the enemy forces. However, he did not make any attempt to capture Kadesh. Despite this, the Battle of Kadesh was a personal triumph for Ramses. Despite stumbling into a devastating Hittite chariot ambush, the young king exhibited courage by rallying his dispersed troops on the battlefield and managing to avoid capture or death. The newly employed, swifter 2-man Egyptian chariots proved effective in pursuing and outmaneuvering the slower 3-man Hittite chariots from behind. In contrast, Hittite records from Hattusa presented a markedly different conclusion to the larger campaign. According to these records, a chastened Ramses was compelled to depart Kadesh in defeat. Modern historians generally view the battle as a practical draw, yet recognize it as a pivotal moment for the Egyptians. This conflict spurred the Egyptians to develop new technologies and rearm themselves before pushing back against the consistent Hittite incursions over several years. The famed Egyptian-Hittite peace treaty, displayed at the Istanbul Archaeology Museum, is believed to be the earliest recorded example of any international agreement. Following the Battle of Kadesh, Hittite King Muwatalli II continued his campaigns, reaching as far south as the Egyptian province of Upi, Appa, which he captured and placed under the authority of his brother Hattusili, the future Hattusili III. Egypt's sphere of influence in Asia was now limited to Canaan. This influence was under threat due to revolts among Egypt's vassal states in the Levant, prompting Ramses to launch campaigns in Canaan to reassert his authority there, before initiating further offensives against the Hittite Empire. In the 8th and 9th years of his reign, Ramses achieved further military successes. This time, he managed to capture the cities of Dapur and Tunip, areas untouched by Egyptian forces since the time of Thutmose III, almost 120 years earlier. However, these victories were short-lived. Within a year, this territory returned to Hittite control, requiring Ramses to launch another campaign against Dapur in his 10th year. This second victory was just as inconsequential as the first, as neither Egypt nor Hatti could decisively overcome the other in battle. Ultimately, an official peace treaty was established with Hattusili III, the new Hittite king, about 15 years after the Battle of Kadesh, and in the 21st year of Ramses II's reign. This treaty marked the conclusion of the ongoing conflicts along the borderlands. In the midst of the melee, heroism and desperation danced in a deadly waltz. Swords and spears gleamed, clashing and recoiling with a rhythm as old as time itself. The air was thick with the cries of triumph and the anguished screams of the fallen, as warriors from both sides met their destiny with a ferocity born of desperation and honor. And then, as if whispered by the spirits of ages past, a resounding trumpet call pierced the air. A ceasefire emerged from the chaos, as exhaustion and the weight of the day's carnage settled upon the battlefield. The second oldest battle in history drew to a close, leaving behind a tableau of valor and sacrifice, etched into the very fabric of time. Kadesh would remain a testament to the boundless depths of human ambition and the unyielding spirit that forged empires. As the stars emerged in the ink-black sky, they cast their celestial light upon the fallen and the triumphant alike, a reminder that the echoes of that fateful day would reverberate throughout the annals of history, inspiring generations yet unborn to rise and meet their own destinies on battlefield yet to come.